Hey guys, just wanted to drop you a quick note and a reminder. If you go to my website, Digging for End Time Truths, you will find a free download of my newest book, God's Time Capsule, and also New Testament Worship is on there for a free download. You will find that there's other articles on the website that will help us all in our spiritual growth so that we can all grow up together. And just a reminder to like, subscribe, share this as much as you can because we need to get the word out, and hopefully you'll be a part of that. So thank you all. Welcome to the Morning Breadcast. I am Mark Krishik from Digging for End Time Truths, and we are going to move along in our series this week on the book of Revelation. So we have been in chapter 1, and we have gone through some major points that have kind of opened things up for us. I'm going to do a quick brief summary because I can't get into all the details. I highly recommend you go back and check the series out for the week, the Revelation series. But what we do need to note is that this book is not hard to understand. We need to just take what it says at face value. Prophecy is not open for private interpretation, and we are just going to go through, and we have been, and a lot of clear and precise things have been revealed. Also, good to note that all the prophecies of Jesus' first coming were 500, 1,000 years before, and they happened exactly as predicted. When it says he was sold for 30 pieces of silver, he was sold for 30 pieces of silver. When it says that they cast lots for his garments as he was being crucified, they did indeed cast lots for his garments. So all these things happen exactly as prophesied. So that was his first coming. We can expect nothing less at his second coming. And there are 8 times more prophecies of his second coming than there are his first coming. So we have been into the book of Revelation, and we did notice as we started to go through it that the outline of the book is given in the first chapter in verse 19, where it says John is told to write the things which he has seen, the things which are, and the things which will be after this. So we did get to the place where we got past the first part of that, which is the first part of the prophecy or outline that says, write the things which you have seen. And in the first chapter, John is confronted, so to speak, with a vision of Jesus Christ, the risen, in his full glory. And that is the part that he has seen. We now are at the place, right, where we are about to shift from the things that he has seen to the things which are. The second part, which is chapters 2 and 3, which is Jesus' 7 letters that he dictated to John to the 7 churches. So it's kind of important to note that these 7 churches are they are the things which are. But why these 7? So why did Jesus choose these 7? Well, there were a lot of churches that are not mentioned that were much bigger and much more affluent in those days. Like, why not the church at Antioch, or the church at Rome, or the church at Jerusalem even? None of those churches are covered in these letters. So he chose these 7 for a reason, and we're going to see why. But we need to remember as we go through these churches that it says in the first chapter that this is a prophecy. This book is a prophecy. So what does that mean when it comes to the second part of this outline? It means that the churches that are chosen are a prophecy, right? There are 4 applications for the church. It is written clearly to the church of that day, and we can go through all the details if we had the time, but we're not going to. But it was clearly written to those churches at that time that were going through those things. The second thing that we need to understand is Jesus says, to him who has an ear. So it's clearly written to individuals. Anyone who hears this or reads this, it's written to you, okay? That's the second application. What is the third application? Jesus says that it is written to the churches, right? That means all of the churches are to read everyone in the church is to read all the letters to all the churches. They're not specific just for that. They were written to churches for a warning to all Christians and all churches. And then there is a fourth application, and it's the prophetic application. And as we will see when we go through these churches, that each church is a time period of the church history from the beginning. The first church is Ephesus, where he calls himself the one who walks through the lampstands that we just went through. That is the churches. So he's clearly stating that he's writing this to the first beginning part of the church, the apostles. In fact, he warns in the first church that you call out those who say they are apostles and are not. So each church, as we go through them, is a church period in history. And the thing that is important to understand is that if these churches were in any other order, it would not make any sense as far as church history. But the order that they are in clearly depicts the church history, and that is the prophetic application, right? So what I want to do is I want to show you an overview first, because the churches I'd like to go through in somewhat of a detail, just so that we understand, right, each church, because they are clear warnings. It's the only time in the Bible that Jesus speaks directly to you and me as the church. And it's very important. I mean, this is probably one of the more important parts of the book of Revelation, that we get the warning, that Jesus gives us a report card, and we are privileged to look at it and say, okay, you're saying that this is a problem, but this is how to fix it. And he goes through a lot of different things that we go through, and he shows us how to fix it, right? And it's important to note a couple things that are very interesting about these seven churches. So the overview is, I'm going to show you a little prophetic profile, and you will see the different groups. It's interesting to note that they're somewhat grouped into the first three and then the second four. So why do I say that? Well, you'll notice in the first three that as you look at the letters, the last two lines in the first three churches are different from the four, right? When he says, to him who overcomes, it's in a postscript in the first three, and it's not in a postscript in the last four. So why does that matter? Well, it's interesting to note that the last four churches have clear and distinct mentions of the second coming of Christ. Okay, so you begin to see the prophetic outline of these churches. So I want to give you the overview so that as we go into detail, we can see how Jesus speaks to these churches. So the churches are church at Ephesus, the church at Smyrna, the church at Pergamos, the church at Thyatira, the church at Sardis, the church at Philadelphia, and the church at Laodicea. It's interesting to note that there are two churches that Jesus has nothing bad to say about. The church at Smyrna, which is the second age of the church when they were persecuted heavily. And it says that you think that you're poor and you're weak because you've been persecuted, but in fact, you're strong. So it's interesting to note how we perceive what we are looking like, and Jesus has a totally different perception. Okay? The other church that has nothing bad to say about it is the church at Philadelphia, which is the church during the age that many evangelists went out. The late 1800s and 1900s, right? And as the church went out and spread the gospel throughout the land. And in fact, it says you have a little strength and to hold on until I come. He says, and because you have kept my patience and kept the word of my patience, I will keep you from the hour of trial that's coming upon the whole world. It's a direct reference to the church being removed before the final 7 years, right? So these churches are such a important part of this letter that I don't want to just breeze through them in a 5-10 minute thing. What I wanted to do is give you an overview of what's coming, right? And these churches, as we go through them in detail, I'll probably cover them 2 or 3 at a time in each session, and we're going to pick this up again next week. But I want you to get in your paper Bible and begin to read the book of Revelation. Know that it is a prophecy. Know that it is a blessing to all those who read and hear and take to heart the message of this book of Revelation. It's not hard to understand. It's rendered into signs, remember, and we will, as we go through this, it's going to be a major blessing to you, and it should strengthen your spiritual walk, right? So I hope that wets your whistle for next week, and we will see you again next time on the Morning Breadcast. God bless.